Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rescripted Podcast. My name is Amy Quiles, and I am a personal development coach that helps high achievers overcome mindsets and behaviors that keep them from their dream life. Where we could celebrate the great things in life, share about the not so great parts, and find out how we can rewrite those challenges, turn them into insightful moments that will lead us to change, to growth, to happiness, and empowerment, all so that we can live the life we truly want to experience. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about that interruption that happens in life sometimes when you have built a life, you have everything going and everything's working smoothly, right? You've invested years, and then all of a sudden you get this internal interruption, like something's missing. There's a void, you haven't completed something yet, and all of a sudden everything that you worked so hard for seems like there's something missing. Seems like you don't know if you want more, if you want to continue it or to elevate to a different level. And there's a little friction happening inside, but you're not sure what it really means. And in this episode, we are going to dive into what I have coined to be internal constraint. You see, internal constraint is when you feel that internal irritation where you are, I don't want to say that you're not satisfied because you've dedicated a life to what you've done, right? What you've created. But however, it doesn't feel complete. And what that does is kind of it tugs you towards something, but you don't know what. So you seek externally to find out, is there a new level to elevate to? Is there more that you need to be putting on your plate? Are there new projects that you want to take on? Like, what will fulfill that void that you feel internally? But truly what that is, it's like your intuitive nudge letting you know that you're a little out of alignment, right? And what that is because somewhere in the process you have misaligned your authority, right? So in another sense, it's like misplaced authority. So there's an area in your life that maybe you haven't really tapped into yet. So you were so focused on building one area of your life, which could have just been career or family or anything else, maybe just like hobbies and stuff like that. But maybe you're being called for more. Maybe you're being called to turn that hobby into something a little bit more meaningful, or maybe it's time to elevate to the next phase in life. And it may have something to do with what you're currently doing, and it may not have something to do with what you're currently doing. And that is what that internal constraint is that you feel like whatever's calling you is calling you out of what you're actively doing. You see, internal constraint is not a complete start over. You're not starting over, but you are being called to get redirected. And in that space, there's going to be a synchronicity that's going to happen. And a lot of times when we find ourselves in moments of friction, it's because we resist whatever that calling is, maybe stretching us out for. We resist it, right? Because it's outside of the norm for us, right? We've allowed ourselves to be conformed into this way of being, living, producing, acting, evolving, having areas how we achieve things and succeed. And whatever you feel called to is calling you to step out of that. So one, it's foreign, so it makes it scary for you. And two is just the unknown, right? You have no idea what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it, when you're supposed to do it. So how do you take action? And truthfully, when you're ready to take action, when the internal irritation just becomes too loud. It's something that you can't avoid. It's something that you can't silence. And in some way, it almost haunts you, right? So you're put in a position where you have to face it. But the challenging thing is you're facing something that you don't know you need to fulfill. So what do? Naturally, we start with something easy, the smallest adjustments that we have to make. We start looking at the things that we do in our daily life and we start editing that. Sometimes it could be our diet. Sometimes it could just be working out. Sometimes it could be, having better relationships with other people. And when you start to do all those little fine tuning in life and you realize, that just didn't hit it quite like I thought it would. There's still something calling me for more. There's still something nudging me for more. And that's when you have the call to go a little bit deeper. You see, internal constraint is when God is calling you for more, but he's calling you to walk it with you. And today we just get so used to being self-reliant, or we know how to put a game plan together. And I am a high achiever myself who loves to be productive, and I love to get things done and build structure. So when I came to terms with my internal constraint and came to realize that a lot of the friction that was happening was because I was resisting the synchronicities that I was supposed to follow. And a lot of times you hear about synchronicities and how they should really be something that you just flow, but sometimes it's hard because it's not like it's in sync with what you're already doing. It calls you out of what you're doing. It interrupts your pattern. And sometimes that makes you stop, right? It causes you to be concerned, to worry, to doubt, to fear, because you're being called to do something that is out of your norm. You already have this built-in, perfect, successful way of operating. And now something's calling you internally, interrupting that to operate in a different way. That's not always the easiest choice to make. But the truth of the matter is, when God calls you out and he calls you to have that internal constraint, that internal turmoil of like realizing that there is something more. And when we choose to not listen to that call, we're actually doing a disservice to ourselves because it just makes the journey a lot harder. See, when God calls you out, he doesn't call you to do it alone. He doesn't call you for you to figure it out on your own. He calls you out because he wants to walk with you. And in that walking, there's a journey, there's a process, and he wants to reveal it to you. But if we resist the areas that he shows us, what he wants us to step into, it's going to be hard to see the full picture. And that's when you have that hesitation. And that's where you have those like moments of hindrance. And sometimes you feel stagnant. Sometimes you feel lost. And it's not so much that you're lost. It's that you are, in a sense, refusing to do what he's actually calling you to do. We'll do everything else, right? We'll do things that surround it, but when we have to do what he calls us to do, it's a big deal. And sometimes it can take us a lot more to have to come to terms with it, because sometimes it's not just as easy as doing the task that's on the surface. A lot of times he's going to call you to do some internal deep work first. And that's what can be a little challenging. You see, sometimes we don't want to face the things that we have to work with. We just want to move on. We want to accept what the reality was and just move on. But at the end of the day, God doesn't want you to operate broken. He doesn't want you to operate hurt or wounded in any capacity. You see, his love for you goes so far beyond surface. He wants to heal all things. But if we keep hiding it from him, if we keep pushing it away, and if we keep dismissing that it even exists at all, we're doing ourselves a disservice. Because when you walk with God, he's going to work you through it. And at first it's going to be uncomfortable. I mean, going through challenges isn't always the most comfortable thing, but then he walks through it with you and he shows you all the different areas of it, all the different elements of it. And at the end, you will see the purpose of it. Because there is such a thing as being fully healed. There is a thing of being completely vibrant naturally, not because a plan took effect, not because that you were able to close a deal, not because you were able to achieve a milestone. You can be happy just simply because you woke up today and you're breathing. And that in and of itself makes the day beautiful, because you have another day to enjoy, to create this thing called life that you're meant to enjoy and experience, right? And of course, it comes with its own challenges, because that's growth, right? There's challenges, but they're not meant to harm you. They're meant to grow you. But when we suppress things, we do a disservice to ourselves because we don't permit ourselves to grow. And those are areas that God wants to heal you. He wants to work through them with you, because he doesn't want you to walk around with this pain. Because there gets a point where he works through it with you so much that what used to cause you pain and what used to cause you tears, by the time he's done with you, there will no longer be tears, because you're already healed. And it'll be proof that you are not wounded any longer. And that sounds great, I know, but it is a process. And that I also know, because many times God was able to help me through the different areas that I needed to develop and to grow and to evolve. And that was the continual pattern that I witnessed with him. It wasn't about ignoring it. It wasn't about having a magic wand to wave it all away. It was you having to face it and realize where it all stemmed from and realize what was truly in the bottom of it all, what was buried, dig deep. And a lot of times you'll realize way more than you thought. Because when we operate on our own and we're like, don't worry, God, I'm okay. That was years ago. I've gone through that. Like, like I've already accepted what my reality is. What you're doing is you're limiting yourself. You're limiting your growth. And if you are a child of God, if you are a believer of God, and I'm a Christian, so everything for me will go back to God. But if you're truly a believer, you can't believe that your God wanted to just suppress your hurt, your pain, your feelings, because you really can't grow. It's almost like you're flying with a broken wing, kind of like you can get some distance, but you're not going to be able to soar the way that he wants you to, because and him healing you, it's proof. It's proof of his love. It's proof of him being there. And it is you being the witness of how he was able to turn something that was potentially hurtful, challenging, or just limited you, and how it can evolve into something so beautiful. Because we don't always have to be broken, but sometimes it's just us doubting ourselves. That in and of itself can be the biggest challenge, the biggest hurdle, because you're so used to getting approval from someone else. We're so used to growing up, it was our parents, then it was our teachers, and as we got older, it was our professional work life. There was always somebody to be able to tell you, great job, you did wonderful. So you got accustomed to somebody being the barometer of how well you're doing in life. But that internal constraint, it comes from, what about God? What about God being the barometer to tell you, great job, that you're doing well? We forget about that part. We get so consumed in our everyday life that we just want to be able to do a good job in what we do. And that's great intention, right? You don't have malice, you don't have harm. You just want to do a good job wherever you go. But what if the job that you are called to do the most is the one that you've abandoned altogether? Not because you wanted to, but simply because you haven't been checking in with God. And that internal constraint that you feel, that's him nudging at you. And that's him saying he wants to walk with you, but in a new path, in a new direction, something specific and unique to you that he's created. You see, because walking with God is really where you're going to feel all the abundance that there is. Yes, we can manifest. Yes, we can do our, vision boards, and we can, have our affirmations and think positive, and we can do all those things. And they work. They really do work. But no matter how great you are at perfecting those things, you are still so limited compared to what God has for you. And that's what he's trying to show you. He has nothing but abundance for you. Abundance of time, abundance of patience, abundance for understanding, for healing. He's not here to ignore you in any capacity, but he's here to walk with you, and he's here to shower you with all the things that he has for you. And we forget that, being a child of God, it comes with so many blessings and so many gifts, and not in a monetary way, but in a way where he gets to fill you up with more of what he called you to be. I mean, he did make you in his image, right? So you are of his liking, and he just wants to help you exercise those beautiful skills and talents and gifts that he has given you. But we've become so busy with our everyday life, with our schedules, that sometimes we're just too busy. And at the end of the day, the last thing we want to do is open up our Bible, right? And read it. We just want to go ahead and watch, whether it's something online or something on TV, or go out and experience something altogether. We have time for everything else, but we don't have time for that beautiful, intimate time with God. And that is the missing component. And that is the missing piece. Because God wants to walk with you, not to condemn you, not to punish you, but to purify you. And he wants to eliminate all those things that are actually hindering you, that we can't see, or sometimes we do see, but we pretend to be oblivious to them, because to face them could be just too hard. And the challenges could be too great. And that, I will be honest, if you walk with God, although it is a beautiful journey, nonetheless, it's growth, and growth has its own levels of challenges. It has its own levels of friction that's not always comfortable. So anything that has to do with growth, you're going to experience that. So it's not that you're going down the wrong path. It's that there's an undoing that needs to take place. but it's extremely, extremely hard to grow in any area in life if you're not implementing what you're supposed to in order to get the progress. And that's really what he wants to do. He wants to show you what needs to be implemented, what needs to be removed, so that you can see that everything you want, everything that you feel internally, there's a reason for it. That was put there for a reason, because you do get to the point where you feel like I found my purpose, I found alignment. You do feel where you're able to reach your specific mountaintop. I know a lot of people say you'll never get there, you just keep pushing, but you do. As long as you do the work. If you ignore the work, then no, you won't get there. But that's just natural as anything. You can't get to a destination that you refuse to take the right path to, right? And there could be so many different paths. There's so many different ways to get to a destination. But if you never intend to get there, then you'll never get there. And as a personal development coach, I want you to get there, because I want you to be enlightened. I want you to be happy. I want you to be fulfilled. I want you to wake up every single day enjoying the life that you've built. And again, not that you have to deconstruct everything, but there will be some things that are going to lead you to be redirected altogether. But as long as you stay committed, you will see it come to pass. You will. But it's like with anything, you have to be diligent about it. You have to be intentional about it. And a lot of times, the hardest step is just the first one, and once you understand and once you're able to see, it almost becomes addicting, because you're just like, it's like if you ever go on a diet, like I used as an example before, at first, it's so annoying, right? You just want to eat what you want to eat, and you want to look how you want to look, and you don't want any of that in between work of having to go to the gym. But once you get into the rhythm of going to the gym, you actually like it. You actually look forward to it. And then other patterns start to develop. Then you start to eat healthier. You start to drink more water. You start to really take care of yourself so much more, because you start to see the benefits. You don't only start to look better, your skin starts to glow better, and all these other things just trickle into it. But it's that first step. And you may not see anything the first week. You may not see anything in, the second week, but keep giving it time and you're going to start seeing results. But once those results come, it's undeniable. You commit. If you want to continue on in the journey, if there's more to explore, if there's more to see, if there's more to figure out, there's more to get done, you're going to stay on the path, because it becomes enjoyable. Not always easy, but it becomes enjoyable. And then you start to look forward to it. And then the days that you're not growing, just like the gym, with the days that you don't go, you start to miss it. And you're just like, oh no, I missed the whole day. I didn't go to the gym all day. And then it just becomes growing and personally developing becomes that addicting, where you're just like, no, I want, maximum happiness. I want to put my best foot forward, not about being perfect, but I just want to enjoy everything I do. I mean, life is a gift, right? So why aren't we enjoying it? So if you want to see where your internal constraint lies, I do have a personal development analysis that you could take. It's totally free. The link will be down below, and you'll be able to see what areas are you really struggling with, where are you kind of feeling stuck, and that's going to give you a better insight about where it is that you feel the most internal constraint. But if you are somebody that has already done the work and you're just like, listen, I know I just really want to get to work. I really want to work through this, because I really, really, really want to have God be more present in my life. I really want to know my purpose, and I really want to live a life that's authentic to my calling. Then I invite you to book a discovery call with me. And in there, we'll see if this is exactly what is meant for you. You see, I don't coach all year round. I release my coaching program about 3 times in the year. That way it can be very honed in. I can be very dedicated to the ones that I coach, because it's such a beautiful, beautiful journey, but it's sacred, right? So it's challenging and it's hard, and I don't want to ever dilute that process for you. So I carve out specific time to be intentional, and it's 8 weeks long, and we really, 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 really work through this on a daily basis. But I get to give you that almost like that guidance of what to expect, and how we work through it and how you're able to see it show up in your life. But first and foremost, it's best to go through the personal development analysis just to really see where your hindrances are, because there's nothing better than understanding where to start from. Sometimes we feel like we're just lost. We just lost. And it's always best to pinpoint just one area. We don't have to know the whole picture, right? We don't need to know exactly everything, but as long as we're able to work with one part, one moment, one seed at a time, then we're able to start taking that journey. So I encourage you to take the personal development analysis. And if you're ready for more, then of course, book a discovery call with me. I'll be more than happy to go over the program and the structure so that you feel comfortable and confident with the next steps. Because achievement is great. I love success. But success with God, that's on a whole nother level. One that you are actually built for. And I don't want you to miss out on that type of success. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And if you enjoyed this episode and feel like it was insightful, then I ask you to please rate it, like it, and subscribe. And share it with someone you feel will enjoy it. I'll be back here next week and we will continue to discuss matters regarding personal development. Take care, guys. Have a blessed week, and I'll see you next time.